Hi students, I'm going to now be giving a little introduction on the explanation of your MBTI results. So what I want you to think about in terms of MBTI is do a really quick activity with me, which might be hard to do when you're at home and might feel a little awkward. But I'd like you to take out a scratch piece of paper and really quickly sign your name as if you're signing a document, signing your name to an application. Just quickly take out a scratch piece of paper, sign your name. Okay, now, hopefully you did that, unless you have a long name. Now switch your pen or pencil to the opposite hand and sign your name again. I'll give you a second to do that. Okay, so most of the time when I do that in class, students will laugh and giggle when I ask them to switch their pen or pencil to the opposite hand. And usually the response I get is, it feels awkward. It doesn't feel natural. I can't understand my name. It doesn't make sense. It looks like scribble and gibberish. And that's really what I want you to keep in mind when we talk about your personality traits and tendencies. The MBTI is looking at 4 different areas of your personality. And it's really looking at what is your most natural tendency. So for example, if you think about the signature activity that I just had you do, you have a dominant hand that you write with. Most of us will either write with our right or our left hand. And that's our dominant hand that we use. This was not something that was told to us. This was something that we just naturally did when we were younger. I have a little kiddo who's learning to write, and he's 5 years old. And he naturally has picked up a pencil and pen and crayon and starts using his right hand. I never forced him to use that. For the longest time, he would do it in both, and now he's leaning towards writing with his right hand. So think about your personality in those aspects, that we have tendencies to act, think, behave in a certain way. And sometimes these aren't just forced into us. These are tendencies that we just kind of naturally lean towards. And so think about that when you think about your MBTI results. So I'm going to shrink down here and I'm going to show you the MBTI is really looking at these 4 different aspects, or they call them preferences, of our personality. And I'm going to talk about the first one in this video. It's called extroversion versus introversion. And really what it's looking at is, where do we get our source of energy? So I think about, where do we go to plug in? If we're depleted of energy, where do we usually go to plug in to get a source of energy? And extroversion versus introversion is, where do we go to get that source for us? Some of us lean more towards extroversion, some of us lean towards introversion. And so another thing to keep in mind with this is, do we have aspects of both? Yes. We absolutely do. Our personality has aspects of both. Yet, we definitely tend to lean more towards one as being our most natural way of gaining our source of energy. So a lot of students find it difficult when they are answering questions on the MBTI because they say, well, I sometimes do that, but I also sometimes do that. That's very true of us. We have aspects of both. It doesn't mean that you always are this way or always are that way, but just like your signature, you have a natural tendency towards one way. So just keep that in mind as you hear the interpretation, as you get your results, that you really can have aspects of both, but you have a strong preference and a natural tendency to go one of those dichotomies. So let's take a look at extroversion versus introversion. Again, where do we get our source of energy? If we have extroversion tendencies, as you can see in this quick picture, we get our source of energy from people and the outside world. Sources of stimulation, being out with at shopping centers, malls, going out for the evening. Versus people who have more introversion tendencies, they gain their energy from their inner world, being with their thoughts, their ideas. That doesn't mean that they don't like to be around people, but that doesn't necessarily give them a source of energy. So let me explain it a little bit more personally. I lean more towards extroversion. I like being around people. I get energized when I'm around people. My husband, on the other hand, leans more towards introversion. He likes to be, he's a little bit more of a homebody. He doesn't like big crowds or lots of, energy and stimulation around him. If you go to the fair and there's people and music and carnival rides, that's very overwhelming and kind of zaps his energy. So if you look at our occupations, our careers, I'm a counselor. I like to teach class. I like to be around students. I come home from work because I've been around people and colleagues and teaching a class of 25 students, and I'm energized. I can keep going. My mouth is kind of like, yeah, let's keep talking. Let's go. Let's keep going. Even though sometimes I'm physically tired just from being at work, I have a lot more energy. My husband is an 8th grade teacher. So even though he loves his career, he is around a lot of students on a school campus. And he comes home and he's zapped of energy. He wants to come home and be on his, kind of mellow out with TV or look at videos. And he doesn't want to talk to anybody. He doesn't want to engage. He just wants to be kind of with his thoughts alone, decompress. So that's a very different experience being in that outer world and those extroversion versus introversion tendencies. Again, we had a funny evening where we went to a party, and after the party, a couple hours, I'm with family, I'm mingling, having fun, talking, catching up. I get in the car and I'm ready to talk some more. I'm ready to recap the night, talk about the evening, talk about what's going to happen tomorrow. My husband will go to that same party. He'll get in the car and he'll just say, okay, let's have a quiet ride home. His energy's zapped. He needs to go back to his inner world of his thoughts, his feelings, whether that's reading a book, watching movies, going on a walk on his own. He just kind of needs to recluse to his inner world, and then he gets re-energized. This doesn't mean that people who are introversion can't go to those outside world and have those extroversion tendencies. So I have a really good friend. It can be kind of tricky. She's has those what you would consider extroversion social skills. She's the life of the party. She's so much fun to be around. When we were in college together, I wanted to spend all my parties with her because she's fun and dancing and having a good time, making jokes. The difference is, again, the next day, I wouldn't see her the whole day. After a night out, she just needed to be on her own the entire day because she just needed that inner world to re-energize. I, on the other hand, could go out again the next day, be around more people, and again, keep that energy. Does that mean I don't need my downtime? No. Sometimes, yeah, absolutely. Okay, I've been out for a day or 2 days. I'm ready to kind of have my inner world and, kind of do things on my own and quiet time. My friend, on the other hand, needs more of that, and she looks like she enjoys the extroversion tendencies. She's very good at it. She's skilled. Over the years, she's perfected those extroversion tendencies and behaviors. The difference is her source of energy doesn't come from that. So she needs to have a lot more downtime, inner time, to gain that energy. Hopefully that explains it a little bit more, and you can look at your results and start to look at, where is that true of me? Do I have more extroversion tendencies? That's where I really gain energy, or introversion tendencies. And the reason why this is so important, again, we connect it to careers, is if you think about a work setting. Extroversion, they like energetic, open settings, working in teams, interaction with others, and dialogue. Introversion is more, I like to work alone. I like office space on my own. Working from home is really great. I need time to kind of reflect and focus. I need downtime. I need time where I'm, working on a project in my office, quiet, not with, big groups or coworkers. So that's a very big difference if you think about it. My husband, who leans more towards introversion, working in a classroom setting is very hard for him. So because he doesn't have that in his work environment, he needs a lot of that at home. That's one of the things about his career that goes against his personality, being in a very busy classroom with lots of kids and, all the noise of a campus of an elementary school. So That's definitely a clash with his personality. The goal for you is to think about those different aspects and finding a career setting that matches those personality aspects so you do find more satisfaction. So again, think about work careers in the future. Is the setting going to match your extroversion tendencies or your introversion tendencies? So you might want to start looking at careers that match where you lie on the E and the I spectrum.